Okay. Uh, Vittua. Okay, okay. Uh, so you're playing Renekton into Diana? I assume so, yeah. And you start deep play, I guess like that's correct. I don't see why not. You're stacking for level 1, I guess just to have Rakan TF. Yeah, that's fine, I know. You should know that most of the time when they saw you stack, right? So you should know that their top side is probably gonna look to do this. So you should be wary for it. You're checking brushes, which is risky in a sense, because like imagine if they were actually already here, you would have to flash or you would be really chunked for a lane. You should just ward this. Yeah, I mean warding that is actually fine as well against Kayn. Yeah, you see, yeah, it's a smart ward. You're moving on it as well. This is good. Nice, you got the big one. That's really good. Like really good proactivity because that fucks Kayn entirely. Like he's so behind now on the jungle tempo. Like laning wise, I'm not sure how you should approach like push and stuff, but since like last time Renekton level 1, not the strongest level 1 champ in the game, so just take the push if she gives it to you. Yeah, this is good. Doesn't matter if you get traded back as long as you're slowly getting push. Let's see how you're looking to use the level 2. I don't think you get to use it looking at how Diana is positioning himself, like he's not willing to walk up when you're getting slow push. So I think you just keep slow pushing, because I think if you just last at these 3... actually it's just 3, it's 2 choices for you here. Since I'm not sure how long this wave is gonna take to get here. I think it's gonna be 5 seconds. Yeah, it was roughly 5, 6-ish. So I think, yeah, you should just last at this like you did. I think you could have fast pushed it as well, but this is like looking ahead a lot, and it's like, in my opinion, unnecessarily hard unless you need to actually crash it because you know the jungle is coming top side. So just always manage your wave according to jungle positioning. And in this case, you know Kayn is behind. It's a good trait though. They took E level 2, which is fine in this matchup, I guess. Oh, that's fine. I think you just crash this wave and you go ward their top side. There's nothing else you can do. Even though you don't have ward, you have no reason to stay in lane. Or you can cheat recall, that's fine as well. I think I would, in this case, when enemy jungler is behind, I mean, of course it's easy for me to say because I have the vision here, but if you can, try to think like, think back what happened. So Kayn got fucked here on his invade, and I don't know if you saw, but you should have seen him walk bot side, so you should know he cleared his bot side jungle, right? So by that time, given that he was really delayed, he's gonna be here now because it's like 20 seconds later than the actual gank timer. So you should probably know that he's gonna be around his top side jungle. So I think in this case, since you should have no problems pushing in the next wave, I think you should just check their top side jungle just for info. And if you actually find Kayn there, he's dead. But this requires you to actually think actively within the game of what happened, you know, and you need to remember what happened, and you need to use that info that you're remembering on what to actually do. Because usually I would say, since you were looking at cheat recall on a gank timer, that was good, right? That was literally perfect. Diana can't also CS for shit, so it's like even better. Also, I don't agree with this buy, but I'll go back to it. So yeah, just try to think what happened before. I think that would actually, like, let's imagine a scenario where you actually went to check their jungle. You would kill the Kayn, right? And you would have extra long sword on your base, which is, it's really big early game, right? And the buy, I think since your matchup early is kinda low threat, so you based on around 490-ish, 480, 470, something like that. So I had 450. I would say buy cool. Like, it's probably not surprising, but buy cool, honestly. I think in lower elo, if you feel like you're a better player, just buy cool. Why not? It also when you play with cool, technically it's worse item, right? Because you don't get HP. Like this gives you HP, the black gives you HP. So it's weaker item in a sense. So you're like in a way pushing yourself to do better with worse items. But that item eventually pays off, right? Unlike Doran's items, you have to sell it back. And it does sell for the same exact same gold as cool does, but yeah. That's just my idea. As this wave, you start trimming the backline already, like kill these two. So the push is a bit slower, and then kill one of the melees. So this free stays. Don't queue like this. You want to keep it frozen here. Just walk to this wave, like or this brush. She can't do anything to you with this mana and items. Like you're completely fine. Like you would just save a bit of HP. You still do it in a way, so that's completely fine. But the thing with when you pull it here, there's zero risk that the wave is gonna walk here, because you decide where the wave kind of stays. So there's no way that the wave is randomly gonna walk under tower like that one creep did. So the freeze would be better, because now it's slowly starting to push back, especially when you Q like this. So just in a case like this, try to keep freezing. Like, she's so fucked here. Try to think how she feels about the Renekton freezing like this. Like, she feels really annoyed by it. And see, this is exactly like the creeps just keep walking on her tower. You also, the easy fix for this is, let me actually look at the wave here. I think you should be also clicking more like this to keep your I know it's kind of sounds stupid, but keep your like APM warm so you're ready like to CS. Because here you end up queuing, right? So then you do damage to these two. And if you actually realize you can't last hit them, the fix to this is let me explain it here. You walk back, because you're doing this, right? So you walk here, you click here, and you make sure your Q only hits the creeps you want it to hit. I think it would still hit this creep here, but that's fine. That's still less targets hit, because these two took unnecessary damage, and the freeze is eventually gonna break because of that. And the creeps here, walking like this, is you can hit them. It gives you like fraction of a second more, but that's still something, right? Always try to keep it maximum time in the frozen position. Like if you actually hit this creep, it's gonna be interested in you instead of surfing all the way under tower to hit like this creep. So it would be like here, and it would be in the same position as this creep right now, but instead of here. And you don't need to worry about the creep damage, because it's like, it's 12. It's gonna do like 8 damage to you a few times, but the wave stays better. Very small thing though. And the same thing with this creep actually, like you can hit it to keep it interested or just CS it earlier, but the freeze is actually gonna stay. She can't break it, so... let's see. Is this trade correctly started? So you don't have Q, but that doesn't actually matter. I think you should, since you know she wants to walk up for the cannon, right? You can just, you know she's gonna want to walk up for it, because she doesn't have mana, she doesn't have Q yet. So you know she's gonna walk up for that cannon. You can already start walking up to right click her, just right click her, start right clicking. Yeah, yeah. You didn't use the E2, did you? I think E here. Like, the auto after the W, you should E forward and keep the trade going. This way, you're actually gonna get a better freeze as well, I think. Yeah. If you just E here, you keep the trade going, and you will actually burn her flash for sure. You don't need to be scared here. She's a womb as a Diana, and you have better items. And you still have TP as well. So what you would get from that is her flash, most likely. If you keep like moving correctly, you would get her flash, I think, while right-clicking her. And if you actually end up in a HP range where you wanna reset, you still have TP, so you get her flash and TP while you only have to use TP. So that's something. I think it will turn out fine though, because the wave is gonna crash, yeah. That's just something I think you would get a bit bigger lead off of doing what I said. Like, this is completely fine as well. You still got TP advantage, but she could be a flash down versus Renekton, which is pretty big. How much gold did you have yet? Probably 650, right? Let me see. Yeah. You have potions. I have 2 potions. I think if you actually want to push your lead in this lane, sell 1 potion and wait for a long sword. Or you can sell both as well. I don't think you really need potions against Diana. I understand why you want to keep them though, because having potions feels nice, but I think you could have sold 1 and bought a long sword. And trading wise, you've done well though. I think this wave, you don't need to respect her, because you're pretty close to hitting 6. And this is really good actually. You shouldn't use your E2 there though, because you waste your rage, and in this specific scenario, since you can't really hit the wave as much as you want, you don't want to waste your fury like this. Also, you miss 2 right clicks in this specific trade. Like if I go slower, so you should just auto W here. And you miss your Q as well, I think. Let me actually look back. Did you miss it? I'll look at her HP instead. Easier to see how many autos you get in. So you start with W. Yeah, you missed 1 auto. You get 1 auto in and don't waste your fury here. And then you have more fury to play with on this specific wave, which makes her more scared. This is really good right now. If you don't hit the wave, just let her make the mistake. But instead you're walking up and she hits 6, but she doesn't use it. Okay, she does. Yeah. This is still fine though, because you're really close to hitting 6. You get 6 from this cannon. Let's see. Let me see. I'm sure you were aware of your XP here, right? But you're not aware of hers. It's really hard to keep track of if she missed XP or not. But in this case, you're actually both even on XP. The only problem with this is you're walking up without your E, and she actually gets her 6, so... What I would say in this scenario, you obviously don't die, so it doesn't matter as much, but still having way more HP is better, right? So you should respect the fact that she hit 6 and start walking away now. I know you wanted 6, and you probably thought you're gonna get it out of this, but you end up in that 99% XP scenario where you're missing like literally 0 from your 6. So I think in this scenario you're better off just respecting and letting her make the mistake on this wave, because if you have ult here, you kill her. Kill her 100% when you can actually fight back. And now you don't have cooldowns to fight back. So if you actually did it on this wave, like you respected on the previous one, and you play up on this wave and let her make the mistake, try to stall getting 6, and make sure you get the 6 when she all-ins you, then you actually just kill her. By the way, this is fine as well. Like, it's not bad, but you could have killed her. So far, if you played this lane better, you would have gotten her flash for free. You would get a kill as well if you just played smarter. So that's 2 things. You could be 1-0 with her flash down. And CS-wise, you're doing really well. So that's like good and all. Okay, no plate to get. You want to... Okay, you're doing this. That's okay, I guess. Doesn't matter. So I don't think you need to respect her when she has no ult. And she has really bad items for damage. Well, this is all good. And you still have your TP as well, so you can actually play aggro on this wave. I think since... I mean, I don't know what your intention is right now. I'm guessing you want Cutlass, probably. But I think... you could have gone like aggro here. She just used her... Did she not? Maybe I was wrong. Let's see. Let's see, use her Q. No, she didn't. And she had passive as well, so maybe it's fine. I think... this is lower elo, I'm pretty sure you could have just gone aggro on her there. So... I think right now, given your gold... I mean, obviously don't know your intention, but I'd say just push this wave in and get your reset. And you actually have really strong items, and you can save your TP again as well. Yeah, just try to get your reset in here. So this is like kinda half-assed all-in as a result of what she did. And you don't wanna put yourself in a spot where your opponent decides what you do. Also, I think this could have turned well if you, like, I think after her ult, well, you need to think in this specific scenario, and quite often when you get all in and you're kind of like using your E1 to get away, but you still have E2, you should know that since you use both like your major cooldowns here, right, in terms of trading, you should know your opponent is probably gonna want to keep going, so you should expect her to E you again here, especially after Q. So you should already be positioning your mouse to this direction and just be ready to E, because if you actually E her immediately, you would be like here and you're like actually hitting her more, and when the wave crashes you're gonna have your cooldowns back up, and then I think you could maybe look for a dive. Let's see. I think you could maybe pressure it, but it's tricky for sure since it's Diana with a clot armor, so man, maybe it's hard. That's just something with, in terms of trading, like you should try to think what your opponent wants to do, because that makes you that enables you to do better these trades. And I'm not really a fan of these mercs, but maybe your gold wasn't good for... yeah, let me count. Yeah, I guess given the scenario and there's a TF for console, Tenacity is not bad. Yeah, it's fine base. Yeah, wave push is fine. She's stuck now in this lane because she has no TP. I think in a scenario where your laner is stuck in lane with bad items, you can trade your HP for more hits on the tower. Like, if she's gonna jump on you here, when you crash the wave and you're hitting the tower, you can just E away and nothing bad happens, right? Like, you can get like 1 or 2. You can also use like auto on this tower and you get more hits. Because right now you're kind of letting her get away with nothing. She's not forced to use anything. There's this, I guess. Who's dead, I think. Should maybe not. Okay, let's see how you could have played this better. Let's watch properly. So obviously you don't have info on Kane. Starting off, I think after the plate you could just walk away as well. You don't need to stand here because you're doing nothing. You could walk away, go ward their top side, that's one thing. So that way you're not, like, you're avoiding the part where you expose yourself, where you're kind of like doing nothing, right? I don't know if that makes sense, but like, the easiest way to explain it is, instead of being here, you would be here, right? So you're not getting traded on and you're not getting jungle ganked, and if Kayn jumps you here, you can fight him back. You have flash, you can just walk away as well. Like this way you're not really like like the part where you're doing nothing is really bad because you're doing nothing. That's not what you want to be doing. You want to be doing something, so ward topside. And this specific gank, I think since you used your W and she initially jumped you here, I think you want to flash already, like just flash instantly, because you have no cooldowns to turn this around. You're just giving them time to hit you by trying to dodge their shit. Like, you're not doing a bad job at it. The problem is it has no benefit, so you should just flash instantly. And obviously you had no cooldowns to do anything here, so you just kinda end up dying for no reason. Like, dying is completely fine if you get something out of it, right? But you die for nothing. But that's fine, that happens. Let me actually write here the things already. Sitting in front of tower, doing nothing after you already got plate. Either respect the gank by walking away and chilling in lane, or go ward their top side. By the way, what you did was completely fine as long as you have the info for it, or you're able to 2v1, and I think you could 2v1 this, because Kayn is really weak. If you hold on to your cooldowns, right? I don't know if you actually saw on the gank that Kayn was coming. Like, when did you see it? Let me quickly check that. Do you see Kayn coming? Like, let's see. Nah, you don't. Okay. So what you did was fine as long as you hold on to your cooldowns, because you definitely 2v1 that. But you need your cooldowns obviously for it, and you need to be in a better spot to do it. I think if you only use your E, that's fine. Your Stan obviously doesn't do much damage at this point since you have Mercs. So in a way you can think of this as a 1v1 against the Kayn, because Kayn was really weak. He only had the Stalker blade without Warrior. So he basically had no AD. So you definitely 2v1 that as long as you don't respect the Diana damage there too much. Let me finish writing this. What else was there? Right click creeps when holding freeze. In the case where they have no target in front of them, keeps them interested in you instead of walking under tower to hit backline minions, backline casters. What else was there? In a case where you got your cheat recall in and your opponent is stuck in lane, play on the edge to get something out of your cheat recall, which in this case is Diana's flash. Was there anything else? Instead of cheat recalling, you could look to walk into enemy topside to get info or even kill the enemy jungler. In the case where they got fucked level 1 and given the info you should have, assuming you have knowledge of the game to the point where you understand gank timings. This leads into, in this specific game, you getting a kill on Kayn if you did walk into enemy topside. Okay, was there anything else so far? Don't think there was, unless I missed something, but I'm pretty sure I've explained pretty thoroughly every point so far. I think in this case, you just wanna fast push it, yeah. You have no reason to slow push it, but you could also slow push it. Some people always make the argument that you should slow push every wave when your opponent is not there. In this case, there should be zero roam pressure, but the push in itself is fine. You also get the crab out of it. This is good. You always look to be proactive when your opponent is not in lane. Like I think you wanted to look for a quick trade on her, right? I think in this case, don't give the creep wave here. Just try to force the freeze. I don't think she has damage to threaten you that much, and you can trade back. End up trading. You don't trade it on anyway. Okay. This is good. You win. You win this really hard. Okay. And I guess I don't know the matchup that well, and I'm just focusing on what you can do with the wave. But that's completely fine. Okay. Because I was like, okay, this initial trade is not starting well because you missed your auto W. And she gets her full shield off, but I guess, yeah, like, other than how you use your W, you like you do the trade perfectly. Now she has no flash, so you just kill her. Okay, that's perfect. Go for plates, you can get one, I think. Actually, you get two, you take the wave as well. You should go for two here. Also, in this case, I mean, it doesn't really matter, but how I usually do it is when the wave hits like this point, I start hitting the wave instead of hitting the tower, so you have the wave already like lower, but it doesn't matter because you're missing out hits on this, right? And she had TP, so completely fine. You're gonna get Cutlass and Recurve Bow, right? Yeah, you wait for it. That's good. Doesn't matter if you drop the plate for it, she needs the base, so she's gonna be late to lane now. Just fast push this. That's perfect. And you can eventually get that plate anyway. So it did like a plate trade, but I think this benefits you way more because you have more time to hit. And you don't need to recall after like she did. So perfect. At this point, I think... Obviously when turrets hit 2 plates, they're really tanky. You prep this a bit. I think on this specific wave, I would say you just ward their top side instead of doing this. I already had a feeling you would do this. And now you're doing this, but I think now it's too late to do this because she actually has damage. This HP trade is in a way a bit bad because now you should feel scared on waves. But I don't think you have to recall here. You have ult up, you can probably even bait her into an all-in. And if you can hit the wave, you obviously have your life still, so it's completely fine. Okay, obviously this doesn't matter if you can stay in lane, but in a scenario where you can't stay lane and you absolutely need to get your reset off, just walk under tower, because obviously she can just cancel you a million times. And also the bad thing about the cancelling is if the spell that cancels you actually does damage, like her Q kinda does, you just lower on the next wave, and then, I mean, maybe it doesn't matter in this scenario because it's a fucking Diana against a Renekton. Okay, yeah. And as long as you get your reset off, it's completely fine, but let's imagine you play a matchup where getting random damage on you is way more meaningful, and you still need to stay for that next wave since you got cancelled so many times. You either actually don't reset and you just chill in a brush waiting for that next wave, or you actually just walk under tower to get your reset off instead of taking random damage and then you're more exposed on that next wave. Now you eventually get it off anyway, but as you see, staying for that one wave actually didn't benefit you at all with your, like, even what you got from that wave, which is that 190 extra gold you have right now on your reset. So in this case, I'd say going for that reset straight up would have been way better because you didn't get anything from that wave, right? But I don't think it really matters. I think it's just nitpicking, and yeah, that's fine, honestly. I think given how these small things in like general scheme of things, like the bigger picture, kind of matters. So you could have your power spike on earlier wave, right? And let me see if you actually had TP up. I can check. Wait up. 40 seconds, so you don't have TP up on this wave. Okay, I think you should just actually force the reset here. And this way you save your TP as well. Yeah. How did you start this initial trade? Let's see. Okay. I mean, obviously you win this because you're spiking really hard and the enemy champs are not exactly useful. But one thing I've really noticed in these trades you never do auto W, you just start with the W immediately, which is like, you miss one out or damage, obviously it's not the biggest deal, but it's kinda big when you have Bork, right? Because the initial first hit with Bork is the one that does the most damage, because it's current health damage, right? So you're missing out on that. So that's something I could actually add. Always in trades with Renekton, look to start with auto W instead of just flat W. Missing out on some free damage. Obviously not the biggest deal, right? But still something. Trade-wise, like you play this pretty much perfectly. But I think here, Kane's only way out, right, should be top side. I mean, actually bot side, what am I talking about? It should be bot side. So I think in this case, this mostly comes down to very small micro. I think here you were clicking like either like right here or on top of him. You want to like click here while A clicking. You how do I explain it properly? Because that doesn't sound like it makes sense. Because then you're just going zigzag for no reason. I think you just straight up click on the Kane, and you want to make sure you're clicking downwards, because that's probably gonna be his, like in his head he wants to get out at this point. He knows he doesn't win, so he wants to get out, and his closest option of getting out is going this way. So I don't think he had E. Yeah, he didn't have E, but you don't know that, so I think in this case, since you don't have spells to really interrupt him if he wants to like get out through walls, unless you actually get auto in as he enters the wall, because then his E gets interrupted. But just make sure you're cutting off the most likely place where he wants to escape from, which is like this side right now. So you want to be clicking in a way where you're walking like hand in hand with him, because right now he's like pulling you in a leash instead of you being like right here next to him. So I think you could end up in this spot if you were just tiny bit better, you know. I don't want to sound rude, but like this is hard to reach, like this level of like I don't want to call it skill. I think it's more thinking how you're clicking, right? But overall, like the big point is you could be like standing here. So you know, you probably also know he wants to Q you, right? That way he's moving this way a bit. So you could be like next to him instead of being here, and maybe that changes how you end up playing here. I think you should flash faster as well. I mean, he's body blocking a bit, but I'm pretty sure if your clicking was a tiny bit better, you could also kill him. So there's just that. But either way, you 2v1, and that's good. So let me write that. When your opponent wants to get away from you, try to think on how they want to get away. In this specific scenario, you should know Kane wants to get away through bot side, so as a result you want to be clicking in a way where you're hand in hand or even ahead of him on his way out. Like obviously you can't just think of this in a way, because the fight was here, right? I don't want to go back again. you can't just be like walking this way, because then he's just gonna walk this way, right? So this is really hard to get or achieve, like this action, but it's doable, right? So yeah, I don't think I need to keep going about that much anyway. Like this is really small, but it just leads into kills. So you get the tower, that's fine. You wanna push this wave, you wanna reset. Or you just do this is completely fine as well. Take the wave. Okay. Okay, I actually like this. I really like what you're trying to achieve. The only problem with this is before you actually did this, I was like, okay, this is really smart. You're probably gonna win because you're actually kind of ahead of the item curve. Like you're really ahead in gold. But the problem is that you're sitting on 1.8k, right? Because let's say you did this play when you have used that extra 1.8k, you would have maybe, what would I buy? I would have Phage and Ruby Crystal, right? That's extra 350 HP, isn't it? Is there any Ruby Crystallers? I'm pretty sure it's extra 350, because I'm pretty sure it's 350 or 400 extra HP, and that makes a difference plus the AD. Like, as an idea, this is good, but I think you tunnel too much on here, because obviously your team is fighting here, your lad is not going to be able to reach this, so you should actually just walk this way, walk towards your team. Like, I get what you're thinking here, you're really strong. You actually almost just one-shot the TF, but he did have stopwatch, which I assume you didn't check. So that's one thing, always check your opponent's items when you're going for a fight. Because if he actually has a surprising stopwatch, then that actually changes the whole fight, right? Because this TF should be dead, you should get Triumph Rock, and you just kill the two. But since you don't get Triumph Rock, you kind of get one-tapped, right? But as an idea, I really like this move, because you're looking to push your lead. The only thing was the execution. But I think, I don't think we should focus on how you actually played it out. I think you should just reset here instead. And I think that's a better fix, because you already have that good base. Obviously I don't see Dragon Timer, and I think you can get it visible, but I don't know how. Okay, so it's 20 seconds right now. I think after you killed the two initial ones, you just reset, get your reset in, and you can still make it here in time, I'm pretty sure. You have like roughly 30 seconds. So this happened, that's fine. So right now I think you want to be going to top and fix that top 5. Yeah. This is fine, you don't have TP. So you're just playing to power farm, kind of. You're taking red, I like this. Fuck your jungler. Yeah, I mean, this is completely fine, I think. So I was just thinking of your message, you felt like you didn't push your lead. But you're also really fucking manly, so let's see. Is this good? Okay. I don't really have anything to say. You're actually using your lead here. This was really fucking manly. That's good. I can't really complain about it either. Like, only thing I notice, I think this is like a reoccurring problem for you when you play Renekton. You're missing out on your auto windows, and I'll just show what I mean. Do you believe it's here? You could auto him instead of queuing. you still get your auto in, so that's fine. Okay, nothing to say. Alright, starting off, don't waste your cooldowns on the creeps in this case. Like, you can just right click this. I think you can try to hold on to your E, but like the E doesn't matter as much as the W, because W is your biggest spell. So if you have W here, she dies way faster, right? You're really late on right clicking actually, so why is that? Are you just gonna click her? Kind of late on the right clicking part, but that's fine, I guess. Okay, I mean, nothing to really say, just don't waste your W on the creeps in that specific case. Also, once again, I like going Titanic more, or third instead of that stance. I think it's overall preference. I know that stance is broken, but I think I like Titanic more. That's just preference. In this specific game, I don't think it really matters which one you go for. Maybe that stance is better because there's actually complete mixed damage. I think you're feeling really fucking strong right now, obviously. You're spiking hard. You're probably the strongest champ in the game. The only problem with this is you have no team close to you. You don't have your flash to play with. I would say this play is completely fine. If you have flash, you can probably just flash on this guy and one-shot him. But the problem is you don't have flash. They have a lot of CC that your tenacity does not affect. Because I think you have... yeah, you have this, so you're at 51%. So the CC that they have is not really blocked by tenacity, so you can't make this play without flash. Like, you need your flash for the knockups. So in this specific case, where you actually... let me actually see. How fast do you walk away? Or are you like thinking to... okay, you walk away instantly, so I think the fix to this is... maybe there's no fix, maybe you actually die every time, but... do not walk into the river when you don't know where they are, unless you actually have your flash, because you kind of just die here when you don't have flash. So yeah, just don't walk into the river when you actually don't have the tools to play with. Like, maybe you didn't expect all three, and that's completely fine. That just sometimes happens, sometimes you just die. That's completely fine, that's the game. Like, your team still gets the Drake. You have TP for this Nash, which is gonna be gone. Maybe you can clean up. Maybe you can't. I think you're Lulu griefed, but that's has nothing to do with you, obviously. Yeah. This is just solo queue things. Like, there shouldn't be a fight after, but for some reason enemy team is fighting. TP is good. I think if I can nitpick something here, it is the part where you should know Rakan used his W. Like, this is assuming you know how the fight is gonna go if you looked here. This guy is gonna be dead. This guy is also gonna be dead because he can't E to someone who is fucking dead already. So you should know these two are dead. So just to nitpick here, you could run at this Diana immediately. Because see, by the time you land, dead. Or maybe he's not dead actually, because this guy was close enough. But I think you could just ignore the Rakan and run at the Diana, and you can maybe kill her instead, or at least get flashlight. That's just nitpicking. Obviously you're not gonna like it because you don't get KP on the Rakan, and KP feels nice. But I'm pretty sure you could just run at the Diana. That's really, really small thing. Alright, now you're close to that stance, yeah. Then assignment wise, doesn't really matter where you go, I think. You can start the fight against these two. Don't go way too ham though. Yeah, I mean there's nothing you can do after what you did earlier, but if I can say something about it, it is... I think based on this game you have this habit where you actually just want to go aggro every time you get the opportunity for it, so try to hold yourself back a bit more. It's a good habit to have though, because it's easier to fix than being really passive. So what I can say about this is just try to hold yourself back a bit more, because you obviously don't have anyone but Vlad here, and Vlad is not exactly in a follow-up range, and if TF is perma gold carding you, you don't just kill people here, and you just throw away your ult, so try to hold yourself back. See what happens after. The Rattairel is about to pop off. Yeah, I mean, you don't really have a role in this fight, like the fight is just won before you even get... Like this fight was won even if you're not here, so I won't talk about this. Reset for that stance? Why did you actually reset? You don't have to base here, don't base. If you don't get your death stance, even if you get the death stance, don't reset here. I mean, I guess you just want to go bot because your team doesn't need you there. But I think you don't have to reset because obviously, like, let's see how much time you actually waste walking the bot. From the point where you recall. So you start recalling now, 43. So recall a 24, 43. 24, 43. Let's see how much time you waste. You waste 40 seconds just to walk bot, where you're probably not gonna get as much done. While as if you were here, you would get this tower, maybe even in Impride. Let's see how this actually went without you here. So we're walking with them. Let's say your damage input with these items, the towers, is depending how low the tower is. I think you would do 300, 400 minimum to this. Let's think. You would be getting auto, W, auto, auto, auto. Yeah, that's roughly 400 to 500 damage on this tower. So you would already be hitting this with your team, and I think this tower would go down in... I mean, Vlad is trolling as well, okay. And I think if you were here, maybe Vlad would feel more committed to getting this tower, because I'm pretty sure you could get this tower if you were 5. No way you don't. So I think in this specific case, that's obviously in hindsight. I think you should have stayed, because you have nothing to base for. You don't get much done on side against TF with gold cards, except you do have double tenacity. Not have W. I think just W. Like the moment you get over 50 Fury, you should just W him. You have no reason to hold on to it. Your W is the highest value spell, the higher that target's HP is. So. Like the initial buffer on, you know he's gonna stun you, so using your E like that was really good. But you should not, I think pop ult faster as well. Like you're already committing to this, so you just make sure he dies like as fast as possible. Here you should flash W as well. Like I think you try to hold on to your W too much for no reason here. Like you end up using it when he's like this slow, but if you actually used that W earlier, he would be dead like way earlier as well. You still probably 2v1 this, but you don't though. I think you could have killed him and not die if you just played it better. In that specific case, okay, I should write that earlier one. Don't reset when you actually don't have anything to buy and your HP is not too low to not stay. Your HP is, let's phrase that differently, HP is high enough to stay. Going on the kill on the TF. Don't hold on to your W and R for no reason. Just pop the cooldowns, W the moment your fury is above 50, and R to get that fury. If you can't otherwise. Okay, that's fine. Like, obviously, if you did execute this better, map state would be 4v4, I guess, because Plat died for some reason. Okay, that's whatever. I think here you could be looking at what your team is doing a bit faster. Like, obviously, if you see Lulu die and you're Vlad here, you could have moved through this spot, get this, and you would be there like 10 seconds earlier, maybe 5, something like that. You could be there earlier. Maybe you can actually take that fight. Like, your team is obviously griefing. Just so you could have been there a bit earlier. Maybe you could actually even walk through mid. Maybe that's better. Let's see if you could just walk through mid. Yeah, I think in this case where the wave is like this, just walk through mid with your team. It's fucking loyal, alright? You know your teammates are fucking shit. So you probably know they're gonna randomly walk in here and die. So if you're with them, maybe the result is better. You can actually win that fight that you lose. Because you weren't there, right? Like, the difference of you being here and you being not here is obviously you're not here, right? But maybe you're here. Maybe you one-shot this guy. Maybe you're just gonna fucking kill them all if you're there. So I think, I think the condition for this is if your wave doesn't require like immediate fixing on side. I think just always walk through mid, because that way, maybe your team does things differently. Maybe maybe you just win a fight that you shouldn't win because you were actually smart enough to walk through mid instead of walking to side where you're not really gonna be doing anything else than hitting creeps, especially when you're strong, right? So I think you could just walk to mid. Maybe you could make it a habit as well. Every time your wave doesn't require immediate fix on side, you just walk through mid, because you're not really wasting that much time doing that, and that also ensures you're in fights where you shouldn't be able to be, because you walk through mid. I think the TP is not needed, but it's also whatever. Yeah, it was a frustration TP. We should be here. Doesn't really matter losing this tower. Could have been there instead of doing trucks, but your item is beginning to be really delayed. So I get what you're trying to do. Does your team just randomly want to start Nash or what? Okay, this is very special. Especially when Mundo is not tanking it, but I guess he is also doing some zoning. Okay, before this fight starts, I want to think what you should be doing. I think since apparently your team chose you to be the one tanking instead of Mundo, like the Nash, you can't really fulfill the role you want to be fulfilling here, which is gonna which normally would be like the flanker. You would want to be either like hovering in this brush, you would maybe want to be walking around looking to get it through here. But since your team is fucking griefing you, you can't really fulfill your role, so you're probably just gonna get fucked in this fight. Let's see. Now this guy is kind of out of the fight already. Yeah, I think you can't fulfill or play this fight well because your team entered you. That's one thing I can already see. What you could do is, knowing you kind of got fucked, and knowing your team should not be able to lose this fight as long as Aphelios is not hitting, what you could do is try to hold on to your cooldowns and try to get on him. Or what you can also do is just cut him off. Let's play this in slow-mo. Right now. Like if you... This is gonna require you to be like clicking a bit like this, right? Or just this? Like either of the one. Just observe how the fight is gonna go, because I don't think your damage is gonna be needed immediately. Like your Twitch should be fine, your Lulu is definitely not going to die, as long as they're human. So you should know this. Maybe that's like bad way to think about it, but I think you can fulfill your role in this fight still, despite your team inting you by making you tank the Nash by just observing at the start. You don't need to use your E here, for example. I know you want to use it because you want to get into the fight, right? But you need your E to one-shot this guy. Like, he's already almost dead without you even touching him, which is perfect, because your job this game is to just fucking kill this guy, make his life miserable. So you could hold on to your cooldowns and make sure you get on this guy. Right now it's hard because you don't have your cooldowns, right? Like, let's say you had W. I don't think you had to use W on the Rakan. You could save it for this guy and he's fucking dead immediately. Right now you're just a free target for him, so you gotta hold on to your W at least, because I don't think Rakan needed like that W. Like, you still win, right? But that's something. I think you could hold on to W at least. E usage was fine, but if, like, actually, if you had your W, yeah, you kill this guy, you get this guy. If you W him immediately, he's dead. Oh, there's that. You just held on to your cooldowns a tiny bit better and observe how the fight goes. So let me write this up. Let me make sure this looks a bit better. Okay, so in this specific fight, your job this game was to be the flanker and the one making Aphelios' life miserable by always making sure he doesn't get to play the game. Observe the fight at the start. Hold on to your major damage spell, which in this case is your W. And you one-shot the Aphelios because his positioning will not be good enough to avoid that. Okay. It's fine. I hope you see you in the fight. You kind of fulfill your role, at least in just being a front line. Aphelios can't walk past you and your team just wins it because you were good enough to at least participate in the fight in a good spot. Like, yeah, you could be playing really bad and just walking into the Aphelios and he kites you to death or something. By the way, that's fine. I don't think there's much more this game. There's gonna be one more fight, right? Like, you can just fucking dive them now. I think you can just ARM this. Let's see. I mean, given how people apparently play waves, Maybe you could have been on side instead, but I'm pretty sure you could just win this game by aiming. Like how what Mundo is doing is good. So I'm pretty sure you will win this. Like dropping waves is bad, but you don't have Nash, so you don't choose which waves you don't drop. It's gonna be Elder, or why are you pinging it? Soul, I guess. I mean, given how the game state is, I feel really fucking annoyed that you guys are not doing anything, and you can't even be the one choosing what you do. I mean, in this case, you could be screaming at your team, just go air and we win every fight, you know. Just force a dive. You have a Mundo, you have a Renekton, you have a Vlad, you know. You can just dive them. Like, you didn't really get to use your Nash at all. I think it's gonna be running out, if not already. Yeah, it's out. Buying GA is fine. I mean, your team does what you should have been able to do at Nash. I mean, you being needed in this game kind of ran out after Nash. Like, your only job was to just kind of buff waves. So I'm not gonna go through everything I already said. I think this set out. I'll go through them fast, and I think that's about it. Okay, so always in trades to directly look to start with W, auto W instead of just flat W, missing out on some free damage. Yeah, this was a recurring problem. I think it happened with your Q as well once. So, just always look to get the autos in before spells, because it maximizes your damage output. And then there was the part where you cheat recall instead of checking their topside when enemy jungler was stalled. This was kind of big in this specific game. The cheat recall habit is good though, so not much to go about that. I think I already thoroughly explained this part. In a case where you got your cheat recall and your opponent is stuck in play and they should get something on it. Okay, this is the Dyna Flash thing, which I think I spoke about enough as well during it. So you could have gotten her flash for free. Right click creeps when holding freeze in the case when they have no target. Okay, this is specific about freezing when you still have a wave left. Can Overwolf go fuck itself? Thank you. So yeah, this is specific in a case where you want to freeze a wave, but you still have a wave of your own, like behind you, like a cannon or 3 casters, but the wave is too close to your tower, and the enemy frontline minions don't have a target besides either the cannon or the casters of your own. So there is sometimes just walk to that fucking caster and they just die for no reason to the tower. So what you can do is position yourself in a way, kind of like seeing like looking in the future, how is this creep gonna move? You know, you can just make sure that creep doesn't move under your tower by positioning yourself in a way where you hit it the moment it starts like running under your tower. Like, this requires a lot of like right clicking back and forth to be able to last it at the same time while you're making sure that doesn't happen. When your opponent wants to get away from you, try to think how this was that 2v1 with the cane. I think this is actually the hardest thing that you could improve on. Like, this is really hard. Even I fail at this very often still, because this requires some really precise clicking, and as you all know, I'm bad at it. So I think if you actually want to improve massively, try to put your focus into this point, because I think this is really big, and this is what separates like an average gold player from someone who doesn't deserve to be gold, right? Like, obviously, I think that's your Smurf, right? I don't know what your main is, and yeah, I mean, you're Plat 2 on this, you were Diamond before, so obviously playing in gold is normal for you. This was the 3 set. I don't know if you had Nash. I don't think you had Nash, right? So I think you wasted 40 seconds ish to go from top to bot by resetting, and you could get more done with your team. So you kind of just waste time for no actual purpose. You don't achieve anything from it, but as a result, you would have killed the TF. But I think in this specific trade, you kind of like you wasted your. Actually, you didn't waste anything. I think you were trying to be too reservative with your spells. You should pop ult immediately. Like, remember when he cold guarded you and you buffered your E to make sure he doesn't get away out? I think after that stun runs out, you want to pop your ult and you use the W on him and you kind of just one shot him. And even if he doesn't get one shot, he should be low enough for you to replicate the scenario that ended up happening anyway, but in a safer spot. And I'm pretty sure you just kill him, and maybe you kill the Kane as well. I don't know. And then there was that Nash fight where your team griefed you, putting you into a spot where you had to tank Nash as a Renekton when you have a fucking Mundo with Lulu on your team. So I don't know how you can avoid that. Maybe that's just something you have to do in this silo for the actual fight to happen. Because I think Mundo can do what he did, but it's not optimal for you. It's better for him, but it's worse for you. But maybe you can be the one to suck it up, and you can still play that fight to your the best you can, and that way you you kind of like make the fight happen instead of making that fight not happen. And yeah, you could observe at the start when the fight was beginning to happen. You can check how the fight is gonna go just by looking for a few seconds. You can make your decision off of that, and you can maybe zone the Helios the entire fight, like you kind of ended up doing, and you could hold on to your W and you actually kill him that fight as well. So I don't think there's anything else. I think that should be it. This should be it.